my very first trip to Africa. To be specific, Cape Town, South Africa. That is 7 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time in the United States. And this has been a place that has been very high on my bucket list of places to visit. And I'm happy to finally get here and share this with you. As a solo traveler, Cape Town will be my home for the next 8 days, and I'm looking forward to the adventure of all of the wonderful things that they have to offer that I was able to experience, as well as being happy that, well, I don't need a vaccination, nor do I need a visa to enter into the country, which makes things a lot easier. And also when you talk about international traveling, the language thing is always an issue, but here in South Africa, English is a dominant language. They also speak Afrikaans, which I hope I'm pronouncing it right. So that makes choosing this place a lot easier. Not to mention that I've done quite a bit of research on all the things to do here to learn that just about anything that you want to do is here, and it's not very far from each other. I also learned from a lot of interaction with Capetonians so many other things that you will learn later in this video that I had no idea about. Please continue watching, stay tuned, and enjoy my journey to Cape Town, South Africa. Man, after that 14-and-a-half flight, which was, by the way, very smooth, we have finally landed here at CPT, which is Cape Town International Airport, and it's time to go inside and go through customs and security and all that stuff and get my luggage, because I did check a bag this time. I don't know if I took too much, but we're going to find out. So, walking through the place is very nice. It has all these cool things to look at, and it's time to go out here and to find my transportation. And speaking of transportation, I highly recommend, if you come to visit here, to get yourself either download Bolt as an app for ride sharing or Uber. So I got me an Uber ride, and the Uber guy was super cool, man, and very informative. I asked him to take me the long way because I just wanted to see the city, you know, to see what it was looking like. And with that ride, he definitely laid some good education on me. One, I learned that they reference people this way there as white, colored, and black. And the black people are basically people who are of a darker skin like myself. Whites are obviously Caucasian folks, and the colored people are people who are basically mixed, you know, who are light skinned. And I didn't realize that they actually went by that. Also, thing that I learned, which I thought was pretty cool, is they do private drivers. So my Uber guy, he offered to be my private driver, which is basically like I pay him a sum of money, and he just drives me wherever, and he'll wait for me and come back. Now, when he first said it, because I'm just getting there, I'm kind of a little sketchy because I am a solo traveler. I wasn't sure about that, but I did get his number just in case I wanted to. But needless to say, that option is a viable option going forward. I think he was about 1,800 Rand, and I also learned it can get up to much higher than that. Just arriving at the Radisson Blu Waterfront Hotel, which was a recommendation from someone who is from South Africa, and it happens to be about a 10-minute walk from the waterfront, which I personally like because it's far enough, but it's also close enough. So anyway, when I actually entered in, the entrance and the welcoming party was great. The people there were like next level. I ain't gonna lie to you, the people in this particular establishment really made the trip because they made me feel so welcome. The bell guy in the beginning named Davey, he escorted me to my room, showed me how all the things to get around. It was just a great experience. The room was really nice. I mean, the bed was so comfortable. I like firm and it nailed it. I mean, just like it was hard to get up, but I was like, I can't spend all day in the bed. I need to get outside. So they do have a nice restaurant there that I enjoy my free breakfast every morning called Tobago's. I didn't eat there for nothing else, but I did go other places. As it relates to the room, they leave you some really nice stuff, you know, shampoo and the typical thing that you'll find in a nice establishment. But they do have a refrigerator where if you go into that refrigerator, you paying for it. So just keep that in mind. But they do have like a coffee maker and tea and all that stuff there as well. The room was dope. The hotel was dope. It was probably easily one of the best experiences because of the people. Very, very pleasant. I mean, they remember you the next day. Good time. The Alfred and Victoria Waterfront. That is a great experience. It's like when I got there, I didn't know what to expect, but it seemed like every turn I took, it was like this new breathtaking opportunity. So what I mean is like they have this mall there that you can spend a good bit of time in, and they have all kinds of really nice stores, high-end stores. It's like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, to regular stores like the Body Shop if you're into scents, or Lush if you're one of those ladies who like those bath bombs. They got all that stuff there. But then when you go outside, they have a place where they have this amphitheater where you get this live entertainment, where you see people singing and stuff on certain days. And right across from that, they have a playground for the kids. Then all you take is a couple more steps, and then you see the water, and you see different ride opportunities. They have an aquarium around the corner that you can't really see from that point. Then they have this other place called the Watershed. Feels like a flea market of just stuff. And I was just like, you could really get lost in the waterfront. Then you have all these other pockets of live entertainment with these young people with all this great talent that you can just stand there and just enjoy. And then I happened to come across these statues of some of the heroes of Africa, South Africa. Nelson Mandela, I can't remember the guy's first name, but I think his last name is Tutu, but I'm gonna show you those pictures. And that was just impressive. I mean, it's just like, no matter where you go, there's something interesting. Not to mention, last but not least, the food options. The food options is massive. I'm talking about, I think the majority of my eating was down there. From, you had this place called Willoughby's that's inside the mall, sushi, good food, great time if you're into sushi and other stuff, but they had other things too. They had another place called Caribou, which is a South African cuisine focused restaurant where I had ostrich for the first time, and that was pretty tasty. Then you had this other place called Den Acre, which is on a whole different area of the waterfront, which was a nice place. And then probably one of my favorite of all, and all those places I very much enjoyed, but one of my favorite was Harbor House. And the service there was great. The meal was so tasty. Probably the best salad and fish combo I had on the whole trip. Otherwise, so many other things, not to mention, I am going to create a top 10 video of the restaurant experiences, or maybe top 5 video restaurant experiences that I had there, and that link will be up here. As a solo traveler on this trip, I definitely had a big concern about safety. You know, being that, you know, it's a lot of struggling people in this area, and I'm a tourist and I'm from another state and I could be a potential victim. But while here, like I mentioned earlier, the people were so great. I did personally have no issues, but at the same time, I also listened. So I wasn't out really late walking the streets by myself. I definitely did travel from one place to another in an Uber late and didn't have any kind of problem. I feel that as a guy, I had no issues. And honestly, I feel that as a woman wouldn't have either. And I can only say that because when I did my research, I researched a lot of women were coming up as solo travelers doing things by themselves, but they stay within their boundaries. So they may have walked alone in certain areas during the day by themselves, but at night they did not. So I feel that Cape Town is a very comforting, safe place. You'll see security guards in a lot of places, especially in the high volume places like the waterfront. So speaking on food experiences now, my food experiences were absolutely great. I ate at a lot of different places. The food was good, and I actually tried some new things. So I mentioned earlier that I tried ostrich, and I had it 3 times. That's how much I enjoyed it. It was well prepared. A lot of people are going to suggest medium, but I think you should go with what you think is best that works for your palate. I also learned that they have venison. You'll find venison on a lot of menus where here in the States, I really don't get that. But their venison is different. Like their venison isn't deer per se that we would see here. Their venison is springbok and antelope, so those would be the type of deer meat that you would find there. I didn't try that, but maybe I will the next time I visit. And without not leaving it out, but Tobago, which was the restaurant inside the Radisson Blu where I was staying at, the breakfast was fantastic. The layout, the options, I very much enjoyed. I had 2 omelets every morning, 2 bowls of fruit. Yes, I was being greedy. Doing a safari was definitely high on my list. It's like, how do you not go to Africa without that as an idea, especially if it's an option for you for wherever you're traveling to. So doing a safari here was a big option. Initially, I wanted to go to Kruger National Park, which is a flight away, but I chose not to. I chose to use the Aquila Game Reserve, which I hope I'm pronouncing that properly, and it's about an hour or so drive outside of the Cape Town city area. And I really felt as though I enjoyed myself. I was a bit nervous going there. Not nervous because of the animals, but because of how warm it was and whether or not I was going to see them, because a lot of times the animals try to seek shelter. But good thing it wasn't the case. When I got there, I was able to see them all. And this is considered a reserve, so it's not quite the same as Kruger National Park, where you have all the animals roaming wherever they want to, doing what they want to. At this particular place, they had the main predators, which were the lions, separated from all the other animals, which I get. So, but this situation was good because I really got a chance to see all the animals, which I thought was fantastic. And I would recommend anyone to go if you want to see it and you want to have that experience and feel good about it. I feel though it was worth it. I very much enjoyed myself. After talking to a number of locals, I learned a lot of things. One thing I learned is that there are a lot of transplants here. There's a lot of people from other parts of Africa who moved here looking for a better lifestyle. And it's interesting, even with all of that happening, a lot of them are a lot happier, it appears. I met people from Cambodia, from the Congo, from Mozambique, from Zambia, and other places who chose to move here for a better lifestyle, a better financial situation. Even with all of that, many of them are still talking about the lack of jobs or job opportunities. Another thing that I learned while here is that as an ideal time to visit, I was told between the last week of November and the first 2 weeks of January, as well as all of December, because the kids, the children are out of school. And you say, why is that? is it make it a good time is because the traffic is very low. And as a person visiting, as a tourist visiting, you kind of want to get to where you want to get to and back without being stuck in a lot of traffic. And for me, when I'm driving, here where I live, I try to dodge that as much as possible. So, not to mention the weather is ideal. The weather since on this whole trip has been fantastic. We're talking about weather of high 70s to low to mid 80s the whole time. Nothing but sunshine, and it was a great time. Another interesting fact that I learned about Cape Town and the Capetonians is that the majority of residents, and I'm talking about outside of the hotel people, do not have, and I repeat, they do not have heat or air conditioning units in their place. So when it's hot outside, they got to deal with it. And when it's cold outside, they got to figure it out. And that was another daunting thing that I learned there as well. Tune in for part two of my visit to Cape Town, my adventures at Table Mountain, an unexpected thing that happened my last day, and my visit to the beach. See you then.